For everyone who's just entered, if you would type in the chat box hello, and if you don't have your last name in your tag, would you please tell us your last name? That way we can accurately record who's here.
And then since it's 6:05, I'm just going to go ahead and start because I do have like a lot of information to go over with you guys. So I apologize. It's going to be like a giant bombardment of information. So like Tyler said, make sure you mention your name in the chat box so that we have it. If you're new, welcome. I probably won't be mentioning this kind of information after this week because I'm kind of like anticipating everyone who's going to be a full-time member is either here or will watch the recordings. So if you're brand new and you've never been to a meeting before, SHAMOS was created to provide students pursuing any type of healthcare career with the resources that they need to be a well-rounded student and also a future healthcare professional. So hopefully you can meet some speakers and get some information. You can meet some health professionals, get their contact information to do shadowing and stuff like that. So our meetings are every single Thursday at 6 p.m. They're all Zoom. We're not going to have any in-person meetings this semester. Hopefully we'll be able to start having in-person ones next semester, but that's going to be up to the next executive board. So we'll see what happens. But just so you guys know, if you miss a meeting due to any kind of circumstance whatsoever, you don't have to tell us. What we'll do is we'll send a post-meeting email with a YouTube video and a quiz link so that you can watch the video and take the quiz, turn it into us, and then you'll get credit for watching the video that way. You can search us on YouTube that way, or you can just go directly through the link that we send. And then make sure to follow us on all social media. That's where we stay the most updated. The GroupMe is where we communicate the most. So if you're not in the GroupMe, make sure you contact us and we'll send you the link. And then if you're not on OrgLink yet, make sure you join because that's how you're going to get our emails. Okay, so like I said, OrgLink is kind of important. Unfortunately, it's kind of also a little bit of a pain to navigate if you don't know what you're doing. So if you're not on our org link, make sure you just Google SHSU org link and then search SHAMOS. We'll be the first ones that pop up. And then you just click on it and there should be a little button that asks join or request an invitation or something like that. You should be able to click it and then we'll just go ahead and approve you. So that way you can stay up to date in our emails. You do have to be a member on our org link in order to be classified as a member of SHAMOS at all. So if you pay us your dues and everything, if you're not on OrgLink, you're not a member regardless. So it'll be really unfortunate if you're not on our OrgLink and you have like 100 hours because those hours won't count. So make sure that you join us. And then we also do require 10 service hours, but you can earn them by watching the meeting videos or attending the meetings and our blood drives and any type of events that we have. And then also we will send out an outside hours log for non-meeting and non-blood drive events. So like if you volunteer at a hospital or you do any type of clinic work that gets you volunteer hours, those will count as well. You just have to make sure that you turn it into us at the end of the semester. And then if you pay your dues, but you earn less than 10 hours, then you'll be considered a part-time member. And then the last thing that you have to do, so we didn't update the date, but dues are due today. So they're not due last week, but they're due today. So make sure you send your dues to Joseph or contact him to meet up with him. If you only have cash and you just didn't think ahead of time that you need to do it, that's okay. Just make sure you email him and communicate with him so that he knows exactly who is paying and who isn't. And then we do have Cash App and PayPal, and this is our information. $10 will get you a mask, $20 will get you a shirt, or $30 will get you both. If you don't want either a mask or a shirt, then the dues are still $10. So you might as well get a mask out of it. So make sure, and then also make sure you add in your payment, if you're getting a shirt, that you add your shirt size so that we know exactly what to order for you. Otherwise, we're just gonna order some random ones and hope for the best. So make sure you let us know. And then these are the shirt and the mask design for this semester. So if red isn't your color, that's perfectly fine. Just let us know that you don't want a shirt or a mask, and then that would be fine too. And then we are selling all of our old t-shirts. So the short sleeves are $10 and then the long sleeve is $15. And all the benefits are going to go towards the BAWA Health Initiative. So tailing off of the BAWA Health Initiative. So next week, instead of having like a traditional meeting where we have a speaker and everything, we're only going to be running the Baldwin Health Initiative virtual auction. So there will not be a meeting. I will open up the Zoom from 6 to 7 for like questions about the virtual auction. Like if something goes wrong or if you guys need help managing it, I'll be in the Zoom just kind of like chilling, waiting to see if anyone has questions about it. There is going to be a messaging feature on the actual virtual auction if you guys are attending or you want to. So you'll be able to message me there or just join in on the Zoom and it'll work that way too. So the Baldwin Health Initiative, I don't think I made a slide. I didn't make a slide for it. Okay, so every single fall semester, we hold this giant fundraiser with a silent auction. We had to postpone it because COVID hit and we couldn't do it last semester, so we postponed it to this semester. Like I said, this semester is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be virtual. So for every ticket that is purchased, you get a $10 Roadhouse gift card. So if that's your thing, go ahead and buy a ticket. And then the rest of the proceeds go straight to BAWA. And then the same thing with the virtual auction. Everything that comes out of the virtual auction, all the proceeds goes straight to BAWA. So tickets for students and graduate students are $15, and then professors and non-students are $20. So if you have family members that might be interested, just message any one of the officers and we'll be able to get you information and sell you a ticket for that. If you want to donate a basket, if it's a themed basket, like a movie basket or a candy basket or some, like, you know, just some type of themed basket, you'll get 4 hours for every basket. And then you have to make sure that you get that to me by March 3rd, which I believe should be Wednesday. So make sure you email me or message me if you're interested in doing that. I'm sorry, I don't have a slide to give you like more like visual details, but I will be sure to send you a email with just information on BAWA in case you're interested. And then some volunteer and hour opportunities. So meetings, every single meeting is 1 hour, and then blood drives, food donations, Reedy B. Huff, Alzheimer's Association, and the American Heart Association, and volunteering. So the American Heart Association, the Heart Walk, virtual Heart Walk is going to be this weekend. So if you, however many miles you walk/run throughout the 26th to the 28th, you get 2 SHAMOS hours. So just email Tyler a screenshot of whatever health app you want to use with your steps/miles, and we'll be able to give you credit for that too. And then the Tri-Beta Habitat Restoration, that is also this Saturday. I put 10 a.m. on here, but I think that's wrong.
Okay, the habitat restoration is at 9. I'm sorry.
9? Okay, cool. Yeah, so the habitat restoration is at 9, and then we also have the mobile food truck that's going to be from 10 probably till 12. We'll give you 4 hours, even if it doesn't last for 2. So if you show up and you volunteer to either of these events, you'll get 4 hours. So you have some options. Okay, and then blood drives. So we have a ton of blood drives in the month of March. So you get 2 hours for successfully donating red blood cells, and then you get an additional 2 hours for double red blood cells and or plasma. So make sure you let us know what you're donating whenever you like complete your donation and everything. Just let us know what you did, so that way we can make sure that you get the right amount of hours. And then you get 1 hour for trying to donate, but if you get rejected, and then 1 hour for every hour that you pass out flyers and you recruit donors. Denise's email is down here. She's going to be your go-to person to get information on this. I currently have the flyers. So if you want to pass out flyers for next week, just let me know and I'll be able to get them to you. And then every single blood drive is going to be from 12 to 4:30 p.m. and it'll be between the life science building and the chemistry and forensic science building. And then this is our blood drive coordinator's information. If you're wanting specific questions about whether you're eligible to donate, she's going to be your person to go to because she'll have answers a lot faster than we will. So make sure you email her if you're having questions about whether you're eligible to donate. And then we also didn't update this, so that kind of sucks. So on the welcome packet that we sent you in an email, it'll have a walkthrough of all the dates and speakers that we have for the month of March. So that'll be good for you to look at. And then the undergraduate research symposium, you'll get hours if you choose to attend. for however long the event lasts. But if you're interested in like presenting your own research, just go to the undergrad research symposium website. I posted it here too. We'll upload the PowerPoint to OrgLink. And then you'll be able to present your research virtually. Basically, you'll record yourself presenting your research, and then you'll upload the video. And then the video will go to professors and everyone involved who can watch your video and give you feedback. And then the Health Professions Fair, that is going to be March, I believe, 2nd. I sent an email, but I'll have to send it again. But it has a ton of different schools, ton of different professions. So if that's something that you're interested in doing, definitely attend it. It was postponed because of the weather. So it will be in the first week of March. I will send you guys another email just to double check it. And then you will get hours for attending that too. So the spring scholarship, the top 2 members with the most hours will receive $100 each. As long as you pay your dues by today and you meet the minimum requirements of a full-time member, so you earn your 10 hours, then you will qualify for the scholarship. So the more hours you earn, the more of a chance you get at winning money. And then some other organizations that you can join, I believe, so Tri Beta, you don't have to apply or anything until the end of the semester if you don't want to, but we are having meetings and stuff now. So if you want to join Tri Beta, message me or Tyler for more information. And then MedLife, I believe, may still take dues. Their first meeting is going to be next week. So I believe the last day to take dues from them will be next Tuesday, and it's $10. Okay, so our guest speaker, we have Miss Joanna Blythe. I hope I pronounced that right.
Yep, you did.
Okay, so I stopped sharing my screen. Let me make sure. Okay, I checked the settings, so you should be able to share yours now.
All right. Okay, can y'all see my screen?
Yes, you're perfect.
Okay, perfect. It usually like highlights it, but it's not highlighting it this time, so I just wanted to make sure. So good evening, y'all. Again, my name is Joanna Blythe. I'm the advisor and recruiter for the School of Nursing here at SAM. So I know there's a few of y'all who are interested in nursing. If you're not interested in nursing, hopefully maybe we'll change your mind and you may be interested in nursing, or thanks for just listening, even if you're not. But so I'm gonna try to just give y'all some information about like admission requirements and the different programs we offer, the deadlines for our application, minimum requirements as well as competitive requirements using past data, and then my contact information if y'all have any questions. But I'm going to try to just do it like an information session. I don't know where all of y'all are at in y'all's curriculum and whatnot, so I'll just kind of give y'all an overview, and then at the end, feel free to jot down my contact info and reach out for more details. So a little bit about the School of Nursing. Just with Sam Houston, we are under the College of Health Sciences at SAM. So that's where Department of Family and Consumer Sciences, Department of Population Health, Department of Kinesiology are also under, but we're the School of Nursing is housed under that big umbrella of the College of Health Sciences. The School of Nursing itself, when and if accepted into the nursing program, is located at the Woodlands Center in the Woodlands, Texas, off of 242 and 45. Our program is fully approved by the Texas Board of Nursing and accredited by the Commission on Collegiate Nursing Education. Our first cohort was admitted in spring of 2011, so we are a fairly young program compared to other programs in the state. And then the program is still a 4-year program, but if you have seen an advisor about nursing or anything, you should know there was a curriculum change. So it's a 4-year program. Ideally, students take the prerequisites and lower level courses within the first 1.5 years of their college career. And then the last 2.5 years, the last 5 semesters would be nursing courses when and if accepted. We do not go through summer terms anymore in the nursing program as well. That's another update with that curriculum change. And then as I'll tell you later, it is a competitive admissions process. It is a rigorous program. Currently, students can expect anywhere from 3 to 5 days a week, depending on which semester they're in, as far as just doing schoolwork, as far as lecture labs and clinical, and spending 10 to 12-hour days doing those items. So the first semester of the nursing program, when and if accepted, is only 2 nursing courses. So that's only gonna be like 1 day a week. The 2nd through 5th is when you do lecture labs and clinicals. So that's when it's gonna beef up more as far as the time in lecture labs and clinical and having the longer days and whatnot. Something you want to look at if you're interested in nursing would be the first time NCLEX pass rates. This information is published on the Texas Board of Nursing website. So if you're interested in applying to other nursing schools in the state of Texas, definitely check out their NCLEX pass rates, because you want to make sure that you're going into a program that where like the curriculum, the faculty, that program itself is preparing you to sit for the NCLEX exam. Because just because you complete a BSN program and curriculum, it doesn't mean you automatically become a registered nurse. You have to then sit for the NCLEX, and then when and if you pass the NCLEX is when you become a registered nurse. So we're very proud that ours has been greater than a 97% in the past 2 years. So we graduate 2 cohorts every single year, one in the spring, one in the fall. This past year, so 2020, even though we had the pandemic hit, we actually had a 99.09% pass rate. So out of like all of the schools in Texas that have greater than 100 students graduating, we were ranked the number 2 in the state. So we're definitely proud of that. Definitely proud of our students. They did great. And but just make sure, again, that stuff's public information. So you can look at Texas Board of Nursing, and it'll tell you NCLEX pass rates in the past 5 years for every institution in Texas. So we do offer 3 educational paths in the nursing program at SAM. I'm probably going to just highlight more so on the pre-licensure BSN, because I'm assuming that's probably what most of y'all are interested in. That pre-licensure BSN is going to be that traditional BSN where you take the lower level courses and prereqs required to apply, and then you apply directly into a BSN program. That's face-to-face in the Woodlands, again, when and if accepted. You all probably know students are classified as a pre-nursing student in the Department of Population Health. Typically their major is like health sciences or public health, because those 2 majors incorporate all of the lower level courses and prereqs within the major. And so for that program, we have 2 application periods a year. We have a application for a fall start and an application for a spring start. Our fall application, or our application for a fall start, is actually going to be opening soon. It'll be open April 1st to June 1st. And then the application for a spring start would open July 1st to September 1st. We also have the LVN to BSN and RN to BSN. So LVN to BSN, just in a nutshell, is going to be for students who already have an LVN license, a licensed vocational nurse. That's usually a certificate program at a community college. If someone has that, then they may be eligible to apply for LVN to BSN to kind of bridge their certificate into the BSN. And then we have the online RN to BSN, and that's going to be for students who complete an associate's degree in nursing at a community college, and then want to transition that associate's degree in nursing to a bachelor's of science in nursing. So just FYI, we do have those other 2 programs, but if y'all are current SAM students, I'm assuming y'all are more on that pre-licensure traditional route. But if y'all have questions about the other 2 after this, feel free again to reach out. So this slide is just going to show the prerequisites and lower like core requirements, lower level degree requirements for the BSN program. I did use the Texas Common Course numbering system on this. So if you are SAM students, so these numbers are not going to be the same as what you're probably registered for. Like AMP1 is biology 2403 at SAM, and AMP2 is 2404. But anyways, just look at the titles, I guess, because I did use Texas Common Course numbering system, not Sam Houston numbers, just just be general, but the prerequisites that are required before starting the program would be AMP1, AMP2, chemistry. We'll accept intro chem or general chem. We prefer intro, but we'll accept it either. Microbiology, statistics, nutrition, the general psych, and then developmental psychology. Those are your 8 prereqs required before beginning the nursing program. Then we also require Texas core curriculum. So those are like those basic courses, your Englishes, your histories, your governments, creative arts, stuff like that. And again, that's tailored for the Texas Common Course numbering. So I know like government at SAM's political science, but same course. Let's see. With the nursing application to apply, we also require the TEAS exam, or the Test of Essential Academic Skills. That test is put on by ATI Testing. So you would actually register for the test to take it through ATItesting.com. And typically students don't need to take this course until, or this test, excuse me, until a couple months before they're ready to apply to the nursing program. And just know, as you're taking those prereqs and lower level courses, you are essentially preparing for it, because it's going to assess you, test you over reading, math, science, and English. So as you're taking college algebra and statistics, that's what's going to be covered in the math section. As you're taking your AMP1 in chemistry, that's what's going to be covered in the science section. Your reading comprehension, and then like vocab, grammar usage, stuff like that in the English section. So even though you're not formally studying for it throughout your first year and a half or so before you apply, you essentially are, because you're learning that material. And then SAM, it is a timed exam, and each section has a specific time limit. And then SAM's nursing program does not limit on how many times you can take it. But you can only upload one individual performance profile into your application. So SAM doesn't have a limit. A testing center may have a policy. So like Sam Houston's testing center requires a 30-day wait period in between attempts. And then other nursing programs, again, if interested in another nursing program, you definitely want to reach out and see what they require, because some programs do have a limit on the number of times you take it. So don't let our policy at SAM disqualify you from a different program. If you're interested, definitely reach out to check out what their requirements are about retaking an exam. Other admission requirements for that pre-licensure BSN would be students can apply to the program when they complete 6 out of the 8 of those orange nursing prereq courses on the previous slide by the application deadline. Because no more than 2 can be in progress that semester after an application period. So an example of that would be, say somebody on here is interested in applying for the fall 2021 nursing program. You would need to make sure you have at least 6 of those 8 orange courses complete by the end of the spring 21 semester. And then no more than the 2, or like the final 2, would have to be completed in the summer of 21 before potentially starting the program in the fall of 21 when and if accepted. So that's kind of how that plays out to be. The minimum GPA is a 3.0 in those prerequisites and a 3.0 overall. Overall for the nursing program means the courses applicable to nursing. So if you have extra chemistry courses, or maybe you were a different major, like you were biomedical sciences initially, and then you switch to nursing or public health with the concentration in pre-nursing, but you have like some physics or some extra chem, we're only going to use the lower level courses that apply to the nursing program for that GPA for the application. We're not going to take in, we're not going to calculate your GPA with other courses that don't necessarily apply to the nursing program. Just FYI on that. Minimum T-scores, a 70 overall, at least a 55 in each subject area. We use the reading and math sections for ranking purposes, and I'll go over more on the next slide what we actually look at when ranking applicants. But the math and reading scores are what's used when ranking applicants if they meet the minimum requirements. A C or higher in all applicable coursework. So even though Sam Houston as a university accepts Ds for some majors, every course that is applicable to the nursing program has to be a C or higher. And then also no more than 2 graded attempts for a lab science within the past 7 years. Graded attempts means A, B, C, D, or F. If you dropped it and got a Q or a W, that doesn't count as a graded attempt. The reason why we have those 2 rules is because when and if accepted into the School of Nursing, a C or higher is required in all nursing courses in order to progress. And then also you can't attempt a nursing course more than 2 times. So we kind of put that expectation, that rule in place on the lower level, like the prereqs and lower level courses, just so y'all have that expectation in mind when and if accepted. If we have a student who's taken A&P 1 4 times and A&P 2 3 times to be successful in it, then they're not going to get that luxury to do that in the nursing program when and if accepted. So that's why we kind of cap it at the 2 graded attempts for a lab science and then that C or higher, just because that's what's required in the nursing program in order to progress. And then the lab science courses have to be completed within 7 years of beginning the nursing program. So those are the minimum requirements. Competitive requirements based on past data. So this could fluctuate with every pool of applicants we get each semester. However, I've been here around 3 years and it's typically always kind of around these numbers, get plus or minus like 0.02 or 0.05 of a point. So it's usually pretty close. But for pre-licensure BSN, that's the most competitive program. The average prerequisite GPA, again, that's that GPA of A&P1, A&P2, microchem, statistics, nutrition, and then the general psych and developmental psych. That GPA is averages a 3.7. The overall GPA tends to be around a 3.7 as well. And then the average TEAS math score ends up being around a 94 to 95. And the average TEAS reading score tends to be around an 84 to 85, depending on the pool of applicants. Currently, our application, like ranking, is very quantitative. It's very metric based. So what we look at when ranking applicants is your prerequisite GPA. So that's the GPA, again, of those 8 orange courses on the previous slide. That GPA is weighted the most heavily. Those are like your heavy hitters. The second and third thing we look at will be your TEAS math and reading scores from a test that meets the minimum requirements. And then the fourth thing would be your overall GPA. Again, overall meaning only the lower level courses that apply to the nursing program. So basically the prereqs plus your core. And then students can get bonus points for various things. So well, let me back up. Between your prereq GPA and the TEAS math and reading scores, that's over 3/4 of what we look at. So those, the prereq GPA and your TEAS scores are like super big, like heavy hitters when calculating rank, and then the overall is weighted the least. And then after we do that, students can get bonus points for various things. So every 10 hours you complete at Sam Houston, that's a bonus point with a maximum of 5 for that category. If you take biomedical statistics, which is math 1370 at SAM, and get a C or higher, that's a bonus point. If you have a CNA, CMA, EMT, or paramedic license with 6 months experience, that's a bonus point. Veterans get a bonus point. Previous bachelor's or master's degree, there's a bonus point per degree. Those are ways to enhance your score based on those items as well. And then other recommendations. Well, the next slide, I'll talk about the instructions to apply, but other recommendations to make a strong application would be if you're just starting out at SAM, not to shy away from the lab sciences. I meet with students quite frequently who are interested in like nursing, and they don't take a lab science, and it's one, that's going to delay when you could potentially apply to the program, because there's 4 lab sciences and they're kind of prereqs to one another. You can't take AMP2 until you take AMP1. You can't take micro until you take AMP1, AMP2, and chem. So you definitely don't want to shy away from those. And also, they're kind of like gateway courses, as far as like, if you take them and you're like, this is awful, I don't like it at all, then it's telling you up front, like, okay, I don't want to do this. And you can explore other majors and change paths earlier rather than later. So I just would recommend not shying away from those science courses for those main 2 reasons. Let's see. And then whenever you're applying, if you're interested in applying to the nursing program, just making sure you follow the instructions on the application and you submit a complete application and official transcripts to the nursing application system by the deadline, and just following the instructions. I would say probably for a fall admission, we typically have a little over 400 applicants. For a spring, it's typically 350 to 400. I would say out of those, maybe like 50 to 75 don't follow the instructions, or they don't meet our minimum admission requirements. They upload the wrong T-score report. They just don't follow the instructions, so they automatically disqualify themselves. So just make sure you like read the instructions well, ask questions if you have questions about the application, in order to make sure you meet the deadline. But I hate whenever students apply and they just mess up on an instruction piece and they're completely disqualified because they didn't have a complete application because they didn't follow the instructions. So I would recommend just reaching out if you have questions on the app. And also you make sure you utilize your student resources. If you are like struggling in a lower level or prereq course, attend tutoring sessions, academic success center, talk with your professor. Same thing when and if accepted into the nursing program. We actually have a nursing resource coach specifically for nursing students. We always encourage students to reach out to that person and or their faculty earlier than later. That way you can kind of hopefully turn your grade around before it's too late. But same thing goes on the when you're taking the prereqs and lower level courses, definitely reach out to faculty and use your resources if you're struggling. You're paying for them with your tuition and fees, so definitely use them. Okay, so then these are the steps to apply to the program. The first is being admitted to Sam Houston, which y'all all are. So step 1 already completed. Step 2 would be submitting your School of Nursing application through NursingCast. So NursingCast means Nursing Centralized Application System. We use that company, that website, to manage our application. And you would just follow the instructions in that portal, like creating an account and then following the instructions there. But you would upload your T's individual performance profile. You would have to submit official transcripts from all institutions attended to NursingCast. So even though, say you've only attended Sam Houston and you're like, well, Sam already has my stuff, I'm a Sam student, you still would have to send it to NursingCast for the verification process for that nursing app. So that's something that some students forget to do each semester, not just SAM students, but just applicants in general. They fail to send official transcripts, which would essentially disqualify them because their coursework is never verified. And then all application items must be received at NursingCast by the application deadline, which again, that's in the instructions, but we have some students who submit their app, but then they fail to send the official transcripts. And so it never pushes them into a reviewable application because they didn't submit the official transcript. So just make sure you follow the instructions. And if you have questions, reach out. I do host monthly information sessions. So if y'all are on here and you are interested in nursing, they are posted on the nursing website. They're virtual right now. The March next month, April and May will include this, like a couple more slides than what I just showed you, but basically what I just showed you plus an application info session. So if you're at the point where you're ready to apply, I'll actually go over the nursing CAS application in more detail as far as walking through what we require. And then that way, if you do have any questions, you have an opportunity to ask about the application as well during one of those info sessions. Or you can set up an appointment with me. I'm the advisor for the School of Nursing located in the Woodlands. We are only seeing students by appointment and virtually right now, so either through Zoom or phone. But the number, that 936-202-5109, you can call that to schedule an appointment with me, or you should be able to use Campus Connect if you're coded as a public health or health sciences major. If you're like a different major wanting to switch over, you'll probably have some difficulty, so you'll probably have to call to schedule an appointment. And then that's my contact info, my email. Or you can utilize a College of Health Sciences advisor up at the SAM Center in Huntsville. Again, they're by appointment only right now, virtual, either email, phone, or Zoom for their appointments until, I know at least through this semester. I don't know what's going to happen after, but as of right now, through the end of the semester, it's just virtual. And then again, if you have problems creating an appointment because of what your current major is, then you can call that number for the SAM Center or email them to create an appointment. But that's pretty much, I think that's all I have. That's just a way to connect to the College of Health Sciences. You scan the QR code, that takes you to the nursing website. And then if you want to connect to the College of Health Sciences, like on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, those are the ways to do that. But that's about it. I hope that's what y'all were wanting. If any of y'all have any questions, feel free to ask them right now or reach out to, let me go back. Reach out to one of my email addresses or the SAM Center and whatnot.
So I actually had a question. So
Okay.
I know for like medical school, you can apply to medical school with any type of degree as long as you take the prerequisite courses. Is it the same for you guys? Just as long as you take the prereqs, then you're good?
Correct. Yep. It's all about the prereqs. We have students who are second bachelor degree seekers in our program. And so like we may be able to use, if say they graduated from a public institution in Texas, so they have the core courses done, your English, your history, your governments and all of that. But then they just recently took all those 8 prereqs because maybe they had a business degree. Then they would just take the AMP1, AMP2, microchem. They would fill in the gaps with what they need. And then, if they're accepted, then they could go forth. But yeah, it's basically about the prereqs. But if like you utilize financial aid or whatnot, financial aid will only pay for courses under your degree program. So if you are interested in nursing or whatever program you're interested in, you want to make sure you're in a major that includes the prereqs for whichever kind of school you're applying to. That way financial aid will help pay for those. Because if you're, I just keep using business, say you're a business major, but you're trying to take the prereqs required for medical school or nursing, and they're not embedded in that degree plan, then financial aid won't pay for those because they're not on your degree plan. So, but yeah. So for the overall GPA being graded in the admissions process, are there the courses in blue or all the classes taken in college? So the overall GPA is going to include the orange prerequisite courses and the blue core courses. So it's 59 hours of lower level courses that apply to the nursing program. And then when and if accepted, it's 62 hours of nursing courses. So the overall is only those 59 hours of lower level courses. So that core plus the prereqs, a combination of both. And then if you have other courses like if say you had another degree and it was you have a lot of courses that aren't within those 59 hours, we're not going to use all those upper level courses that you completed for that other degree. It would just be the 59 hours that apply to the nursing program for the overall GPA for the nursing application, like admissions process. You'll still see like your overall GPA reflected in your degree works and all of that with everything you've taken. But the School of Nursing, whenever you apply, would recalculate the GPA accordingly in order to get the prereq GPA of those 8 courses and that overall GPA of just the 59 hours that applied to the nursing program. And then if a student for nursing, for our nursing, if a student retakes anything, so say your first semester of college, you had an icky grade in history. For some reason, I love history, but it was so hard in college. And I'm like, I was so bummed because I really enjoyed it. And I just didn't do as well as I thought I should if I enjoyed it so much. So say you get an icky grade your first semester of college, and say it's a D, which we need a C or higher, and you end up retaking it, and you get a B. We're only going to calculate the highest grade in the GPA for nursing admission because the lower grade will be excluded from your GPA. So just FYI on retakes, only the higher grade will be calculated. We will not average them or anything for nursing. Other nursing programs may average your attempts. So again, if you're applying to other schools, you're going to want to reach out to an advisor at another nursing program to verify how they do it. But SAM will do grade exclusion, exclude the lower grade and only include the higher grade. And then let's see. But again, keep in mind, you can only have the 2 graded attempts for a lab science. When retaking courses, be mindful of that. And yeah, so in Campus Connect, I think I'm coded for only like public health and health science majors to be able to set up an appointment with me. I think that's how we're kind of like all coded. If it's a College of Health Science advisor, you have to be a College of Health Science. You have to be a major within the College of Health Sciences. So definitely reach out to, if you want an appointment with me, that 202-5109 number, and they can set up an appointment for sure. So some other questions, just like FYI, that I typically get, and this might just be interesting in general. So a lot of students typically will ask, where are our clinicals held? And so again, the 2nd through 5th semester of the nursing program include lecture labs and clinicals. Labs, like simulation labs, are going to be at the Woodland Center, but clinicals are all around the greater Houston area. So we utilize like Texas Children's in the Medical Center, Texas Children's in the Woodlands, Methodist in the Medical Center, Houston Methodist in the Woodlands, St. Luke's here in the Woodlands, Memorial Hermann, HCA Conroe, HCA Tomball we've used. We use Memorial Hermann Cypress, Houston Northwest, Baylor Scott and White in College Station, HCA Southeast. So a lot of them are in the greater Houston area, like Spring to Conroe, Cypress. We have one in Kingwood Medical Center. The 2 outliers that are probably the furthest for a lot of our students to drive to would be the Pasadena location of HCA Southeast and Baylor Scott and White. Every semester of the nursing program, when it's accepted, you're not like going to all of those locations. You're assigned to clinicals, but those are just different partnerships we have with the different organizations. Yeah, we do. So do we get prison rotations? Oh wait, if we'll get them back. We've gone in the past. I don't know. I don't think we've gone because of COVID, but I'm sure whenever, huh?
I said, I know that it's been a while because I had an old roommate that she did it, but it was like 2 years ago. So
okay, yeah.
I know that for now, because my boyfriend is actually just coming back from Baylor Scott and White. I know that he didn't get to do it. So that's why I was asking.
Yeah, I think in the future we will. Clinicals have been shifted a little bit recently because of COVID. it's been a little bit more challenging to get placements and whatnot due to there's just COVID patients on all units, and the hospitals are inundated, so they don't want a million nursing students there too, but we are grateful that we've been able to place our students and whatnot. But yeah, we did used to have a prison rotation. I want to say it was right before COVID is when the last we did it, and then when COVID hit, again, we're just not allowed in there right now due to that. But I think once that gets under control more, I guess, then hopefully we can do that again. But yeah. And then there's also like in a course in the nursing program in community, which is the first semester of the senior year level. There's a disaster simulation project, and that's really cool. Like a lot of positive feedback where it's interdepartmental, like there's athletic training students, there's kinesiology students, criminal justice students, nursing, and there's like a big disaster simulation, like it might be an active shooter or it might be like a natural disaster. And it's all like props and staged, and everyone's working together to help the people who are needing help, like the triage to figure out who needs help most. And then it's a really neat thing that happens once a semester in the community. Again, that's been virtual the past, I think 2 semesters. It's going to be virtual again this year, most likely this semester. So last semester it was like spring break with Barbie and all the Barbie dolls and Ken, and a big disaster hit on spring break, and one of our professors used all of her grown kids dolls from back in the day, and it's on YouTube. You can probably find it. It's really funny. But that's a simulation that a lot of students really enjoy. Typically, a lot of cool stuff.
Hi, so I had a question. Right now I'm studying in biomedical sciences, and hopefully I get that bachelor's and, hopefully go to medical school. But if that does not happen and I only achieve like the bachelor's, how would I go about to maybe applying for nursing?
Yeah, so again, it would just be looking to make sure that you have the prerequisite courses required for nursing, which you're probably going to have a lot of similarities. You may not have all of them, but you'll have quite a few plus some. But just making sure that you have like AMP1, AMP2, micro, the chemistry. You'll have chemistry. You'll most likely have AMP1 and 2. You'll most likely have micro, but it'll probably be an upper level micro, which I think is like biology 3470 at SAM, and we accept that as well. And then so just making sure you have the psychology and developmental psych and the statistics. But it would be, if you completed that bachelor's and then you wanted to come back and do our BSN, it would be, one, I would make sure that you have the requirements, and then it would be reapplying to SAM as like an undergraduate student again with a different major. That way you could apply, you could like reactivate your SAM account at that point, because once you complete a degree, you're kind of like, it closes as far as like you've completed these requirements. Now you need to reapply to open up more requirements. So it would just be reapplying to the university and then applying to the School of Nursing at that point. But I always recommend meeting with an advisor first before doing that, just so if you do have courses to take, like some of the prereqs or something, you would have all the core courses. You would know up front what you need before applying again to the university, which costs money and stuff.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, thanks, Morgan. Yeah. Yeah, some students I think can take it within like electives maybe or something, but I don't know. It just depends on which path I think you're under on that biomedical science degree there. And then sometimes, just FYI, if you did complete a bachelor's degree and you were interested in nursing afterwards, also I recommend speaking with me, because again, we have that RN to BSN program, which I didn't like really expand on, just because a lot of y'all are most likely are more so interested in the pre-licensure. But for students who already have a bachelor's degree, a lot of times I'll recommend the RN to BSN, which would mean I recommend an associate's degree in nursing at a community college, and then bridging it to the RN to BSN at SAM. And the only reason why I recommend that for students who already have a bachelor's degree is because we have some flexibility with that one. And if you've already completed a bachelor's degree, you've already paid like university tuition and fees for one degree. The pre-licensure BSN is 62 more hours of upper level nursing courses, where the RN to BSN is only 30 hours at SAM. So that program is going to be cheaper. And again, if you already have a bachelor's degree, you already paid those tuition and fees for one degree. I sometimes will mention that route just to see if it's better for somebody economically and whatnot. Absolutely, students can apply directly into the pre-licensure BSN. I just like to, voice that option, and students can kind of weigh where they're at in life, what works better for them, based on the different options. And we have some flexibility with a few courses in that program. So I just like to give all the information up front, so that student can weigh out which route's best for them based on their family, their work schedule, like all of that, all of the cost factor, and then do what's best for them. Let's see. Yes, it is. So it is going to be harder to be employed with an associate's degree in nursing versus a BSN. However, if someone does do an ADN route, like the associate's degree in nursing at a community college, your goal is going to be minimum at least the BSN. But there's a lot of schools, including us, that have those RN to BSN programs in place to help bridge the gap from an ADN to the BSN. And it's online, so students can actually be working as a nurse through the ADN. Like, they do an associate's degree in nursing at a community college, prepares them to take the NCLEX, they pass the NCLEX, they have an RN license, they could be working as an RN. You're not going to be getting a job most likely like at a magnet hospital or in the medical center, but you could still, ADNs are still getting jobs. It's just, it may be more challenging if it's depending on where the location is, but you can be working on your RN to BSN online while working as an RN. And then that opens some avenues up for, like, if there is employee tuition reimbursement for the place you're working at, because it's not impossible to get a job with an ADN. It's just it could be more challenging depending on where you're living. If you're living in like a city, like a metropolitan area, it may be harder at like a major hospital because they're going to be looking at BSN and higher. It's and then a lot of times, like if they see that some hospitals will like hire ADNs and give them like 2 years or whatever to get a BSN. So like the stipulation upon employment would be within 2 years you have to have your BSN. And so not every hospital does that, but some do. So there's different things. But again, I usually I'll tell people all of that when giving them those options. And then again, whatever's best for their for like a person and whatever's going on in their life. Their family, work, school, stuff like that. And then job placement for our program. So we don't have the actual percentages. We're working on getting those, but I know it's very high. I know one time I was presenting with like 10 of our graduating seniors, and out of the 10, it was like Saturday at SAM, and there was like 10 of our S2, our graduating senior class, presenting with me. And it was that's like March, end of March is when Saturday at SAM usually is. And during that presentation, I think 9 of them already had a job and they hadn't even graduated. And one was interviewing, in the process of interviewing at multiple places. She just didn't have an offer yet, but she was in the process of interviewing. So, yeah, I haven't heard of anyone having a problem at all, but whenever we get that data, we'll definitely be publishing it on our website. And then also on our website, we just did, like, because of COVID, we did like a virtual tour of the Woodland Center and our like simulation lab and whatnot. And so that'll be posted online too if you want to it'll probably be a month or two, just realistically, because I know we're in the editing stage right now. If you want to look at that, you can kind of get a virtual tour of like our simulation lab and all of the mannequins and all the cool stuff that they can do. It'll kind of go over that. It's pretty neat. They're pretty intense. They're like a real person. They can do like everything we do. It's crazy. So that'll be posted on our website shortly. I would say 1 to 2 months, just to cover the editing time. Because we can't really give face-to-face tours right now, so we did the virtual one to kind of help with that. Do we have a drop rate? So we don't have the actual percentage of that either. However, I advise for the program, so I know how many people are kind of dropping. I would say, I don't know the exact percentage, but I would say the highest rate of people dropping or like resigning from the program would be in the first semester, your Soft 2 semester. That's when you take Patho and Concepts. Sometimes students get into Patho and they're like, this isn't what I want to do. So I feel like a lot happens there, which is, to me, it's good to have, it's better to happen then than later on in the program, right? Because then again, you have time to explore different majors and not go down this path and then be like super unhappy with what you chose. And then the J1 semester, which is your second semester, which that's the first semester of when you do lecture labs and clinicals. So you have like your health assessment, how to assess a patient, you have your fundamentals, like your skills. And that one has a high drop rate too. And that's because I would say either they're not successful or they're like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. We've actually had somebody, or I don't want to do it. Not that they can't, I don't want to do it for the rest of my life. We had somebody, I think it was when I first started. So it was like 3 years ago, but they were in our program and then they experienced like the J1 semester with like health assessment funds and stuff. And they were like, well, this isn't like Grey's Anatomy. So I thought this was going to be like Grey's Anatomy. So I don't want to be in the program anymore. And so they resigned. So with how I mentioned, you get a bonus point with that CNA, CMA, EMT, or paramedic license. We strongly recommend the CNA. It's not a requirement. It's a bonus point opportunity, but it's definitely not a requirement. Just make sure y'all are aware of that. But we do recommend it, or at least like shadowing, volunteering. It looks like what those could also help with your hours for this organization, but we do recommend that just so you do know what you're kind of getting yourself into. That way you don't take all these courses because they're not easy, and you don't take them all, get into the program and then decide, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this at all. It's better to kind of explore that stuff early on so you can kind of narrow it down and make sure you're on the right track. But I would say the first semester and the second semester are the highest rates of students dropping, and it just varies each semester. But a lot of it is they just decide nursing's not for them. Sometimes we have a couple J2, which is the third semester, but it's usually a lot in the Soft 2 J1 semester. So for resigning from the program, I would say like completely dropping the program, like resigning, I would say a lot of times it's that we do have students who don't maybe they don't progress every semester into the next cohort. So like if you're in the first semester, there's 2 courses, right? Patho and Concept. If you're not successful in Patho, you can't advance to your J1 level until you're successful in all of the Soft 2 level courses. So you would have to retake Patho by itself in order to progress, because everything builds on each other. And so we don't want to be mixing and mingling all the courses, because then ultimately it's going to make you not successful in the latter ones because you haven't built your foundation. So we do have students who are dismissed for not performing well. And again, that usually happens within the first 2 semesters. Very rarely, I'm trying to think. We do have people who are dismissed later on in the program. It's not a high number. I would say people are more so dismissed for not being successful in the courses and within the first 2 semesters. But we do have students who may drop a course and then have to repeat it. We do have that happen. But again, they're usually successful that second attempt and they can keep going forth. So yeah. Yeah, that student did. It was funny. I don't know who it was or anything. It was when I first started here and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they said that. Like, I was like, even I was like, I don't know if I would admit to it, even if that was my reason, but props to her for or he or she, I guess. But I guess I just assumed it was a girl, but it could have been a boy. I have no idea. I just heard somebody like 3+ years ago. So. Let's see. Can't think of any other questions. Those are good questions. So tips for being more competitive for the admissions process. Again, kind of unfortunately, we're just very metric based. It's very quantitative. It's really GPA and T-scores based. So really trying to make sure that you, again, the minimum is a 3.0, a B average. Competitive is typically around 3.7. The range, I had someone ask me this in the info session I had earlier today, like what's the range of students accepted? So we have had students with like a 3.3 GPA be accepted. Again, it just depends on like the pool of applicants. Does that person with a 3.3 GPA, do they have all of their hours at Sam Houston? Do they take all hours at Sam? So they're getting 5 bonus points. Do they take biomedical statistics and they get an additional bonus point? So I would say taking advantage of those bonus point opportunities. So like the hours at SAM, every 10 hours is a bonus point. If you're strong in math, taking the biomedical stats, which is math 1370. I kind of tell students if they're usually weak in math, it may be better or if math's always been kind of a struggle, it might be better just to take elementary stats and try to get an A rather than trying to take biomed stats for the bonus point and getting a C, because ultimately that's going to bring that GPA of the prereqs down if you get a C. But really just focusing on those prereqs, having a higher GPA there especially, and then again, making sure you follow directions on the app. It makes me sick, like whenever we're reviewing applicants, like when someone just didn't follow directions and they're disqualified. So they did all this stuff to do it and then they failed to send their official transcripts. Because it's like, oh my gosh, like you would have been a great candidate based on our criteria, you just didn't follow directions, or they upload the wrong TEAS report. We need the report that has all 5 scores on it because we have to know if you meet the minimum, and then we use math and reading. Some of them upload the one that only has an overall score. So we have no idea what they did in the other sections. And it's like, oh my gosh, your overall was like a 90. So we know it's probably good, but we don't know what it is. So they're kind of rejected there. So it's really just following the instructions, which that's what nurses do. You have to make sure like you have doctor orders and you have to follow instructions. So it's kind of like, okay, well, follow the instructions because that's what you're going to have to do whenever you're a nurse. But that would be the best thing, is try to do as well as possible in the prereqs, and then just following the instructions on the application. And then what is the amount of points one could possibly get? So I guess if someone already had a bachelor's degree from Sam Houston and they were a veteran, they took biomed stats, they had a CNA license, that would be like 5, 6, 7, 8, like 8 bonus points for that. I would say So I guess they could get like technically 8 or 9 bonus points. I would say a lot of the SAM students end up getting around anywhere from 4 to 6 because they have hours at SAM. Plus they may have taken biomed stats or they have a CNA license. So actually 4 to 7, I would say a lot of SAM students have that many. If a student starts out at SAM and takes all of their courses for nursing at SAM, a lot of them will have anywhere from 4 to 7 by the time they apply to the program. But technically, I guess somebody could get over 10, but I would say that's rare. I don't think that's ever happened. I think I've seen people probably get maybe 8, maybe 7 or 8. That's rare too. Oh, okay. Like how many points on the application? Like, so all of it's weighted out to be like 100. So like there's a percentage of each item. We don't like disclose that percentage, but I will say the prereq GPA and the T's math and reading are over 3/4 of what we look at. So that's 3/4 of those points for application. And then the overall is weighted the least amount, and it's out of 100, 105 or so. And then I've seen people get over 100 with bonus points. But that's never really even like disclosed to students, but it's all a ranking system with percentages and stuff with those points around like 100. So I can't disclose a percentage, but I try to disclose as much as I can without actually saying it. So like the prereq GPA and the T's math and reading are like your heavy hitters for sure. And then the overall is weighted the least, but it's still weighted in there. And then bonus points are added in after that. But if someone has like a low prereq GPA, then sometimes I'll say, okay, we'll try to focus really on not a low, but a lower than what they, if it's like a 3.4 or something, then try to do really well on the T's. That way it helps kind of help balance us out maybe. And then if you have bonus points for hours at SAM, then it'll just help balance out your application and whatnot. Potentially, it all depends on the pool of applicants, who else is applying. But that's a good way to help balance out without having to like retake stuff. So every 10 hours completed at SAM is a bonus point. So if you, by the time you're applying, you've completed 40 hours at SAM, then that would be, you would get 4 bonus points. So every 10 hours completed at SAM would be a bonus point. Not every hour isn't a bonus point, but every 10 hours with a maximum of 5. And the reason why we cap it at 5 is because there's only 59 hours of lower level courses that apply to nursing. So even if somebody had 75 hours at SAM because they changed majors or something, they're still only going to get 5 for hours at SAM because there's only 59 of those hours that apply to the nursing program. And then if someone already had a degree from SAM and then applied, they would get the 5 for hours at SAM plus the additional bonus point for having a bachelor's degree. That would be 6. And I just met with somebody who has a bachelor's from SAM and master's from SAM. So if that person ends up applying, they would actually be getting 7 bonus points because they have the 5 for the hours at SAM, the 1 for a bachelor's and the 1 for the master's. But So I don't know too much on that, but I have talked with like our leadership faculty. So there's a course in the final semester called leadership, and that's kind of in that course, the clinical experience, the professor tries to work with the student on like what specialty are they interested in, and that way if we can get a clinical placement in that specialty, then we'll try to put that student in that specialty to get that experience and whatnot. And I would say just speaking with her, I'm not involved in the placement of that course specifically because it's very tailored within that with that professor and her students. But I would say talking with her, a lot are interested in like pediatrics or NICU, OB, like labor and delivery. Just like talking with her about those are always like, there's so many students who want it that we can't always accommodate every single student who wants those experiences. But I would say like peds with or NICU, labor and delivery, a lot want the ER, stuff like that. But I would think, yeah, the labor and delivery OB is always pretty popular based on my conversations with Ms. Duncan. I would say those are the top three, but there's a variety that people are interested in. I just know those are probably the top two, peds or NICU, and then labor and delivery and stuff are pretty high usually. And also, just speaking of like new grads and stuff, so in the final semester of the program and like job placement that y'all were asking about, in the final semester of the program, we work with the career services on campus, and we actually have like job fairs, employee like panels and stuff. So like the recruiters from these major hospital systems like Memorial Hermann, HCA, Baylor Scott and White, Methodist, I believe St. Luke's, they all kind of come on a panel and they share information about like what they're looking for in a candidate to hire. And then also we'll answer any questions like the students have to help them with their application and stuff like that. So that's a pretty cool panel. I was able to listen in on one a couple semesters ago, and it was really helpful for the students, kind of help know their expectations, because a lot of times the interviews for nursing positions aren't just one-on-one or you and the employer. They might be group interviews. So there might be like 3 or 4 other nursing or candidates interested in that position, and y'all are all in the interview together. So they kind of give some advice and tips on that. So you can kind of stand out within that group setting of an interview. And then we also do mock interviews with career services and our faculty, and set up the interviews as if you're with another person. So again, you're in that group setting, and that way you can get experience answering those interview questions and whatnot, having someone else in there. And then they critique you and give you advice and, you know, the pros and cons of what you did to help you whenever you go to the real thing as well. Yeah, that might be, I know I'm not too involved on that aspect, but there's also like nurse residencies people apply for, and that might be within like a nurse residency program or something like that. That might be what's available with a nurse residency program. All right. Any other questions? All right. Yeah, thanks for having me. I hope it was helpful. Again, feel free to reach out through email if you have a question and I wasn't able to answer it clear enough here, then feel free to email me and ask it again, and I'll reach out to other people in the program to get a more clear answer, or expand on it and whatnot, because I know I don't have as much input or like involvement, I guess, not input, but involvement with where people are actually getting jobs, like what units and stuff. So if you are interested in that, I can definitely shoot me an email and I can reach out to our faculty and get a clear answer on that, so y'all are aware as well. Anything else?
Awesome. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me, inviting me. And again, I hope y'all stay safe. I hope you and your families are doing well after last week. And good luck in y'all's studies.
And then if anyone has any questions for me, just go ahead and ask. I know it's a little bit later, so if you guys have to go, feel free to go. But otherwise, you can message me. But if you have any questions now that I can answer, just go ahead and say them out loud. Okay, so like I said, you guys can just message me if you have any questions. Have a great night.